side, we're going to talk about the fires that continue to burn in Alberta. The heat dome that's closing in on BC and Alberta. It's a scene you don't want to see when you have 77 wildfires burning in your province. And we'll also talk about the first tornado warnings of 2023. Happy Saturday, and thank you for joining us here on the Weather Network. Our top stories really with the evacuations. It's a scary scene out of Alberta, and if you can stay with us coming up on In the Know, we're going to talk about Drayton Valley and some of the latest news that has evolved out of this region in Alberta. As we take a widespread look at temperatures and conditions across the country, we're seeing a lot of summer-like weather. We're seeing a lot of sunshine. We do have a little bit of rain in Atlantic Canada, and we're going to get to that story throughout the hour. We have a bit of a cool down. We also have snow up in Labrador, but where the jet stream is falling and cooling in the east, it is rising to dangerous heights in the west, and that is allowing a lot of warm air to sit on top of this region. Sunny skies, hot conditions, eventually windy conditions as well. So it's all the elements you don't want to see in the forecast when you have fires burning. So this here, a widespread look at some of those temperatures today. They will continue to become hotter as we go throughout this weekend and in through Monday as well. You can see Kelowna sitting at 30 degrees, Kamloops at 31, Edmonton at 28. We do have air quality statements in place throughout northern Alberta, heat warnings for places like Fort McMurray as well. So you can see the dramatic change in temperature once you're on the other side of the country, and the jet stream is controlling that. 14 degrees in Corner Brook today. Why is it so dangerous? Well, essentially, we are looking at above seasonal temperatures that are going to lock in place. Look what happens here. This area of high pressure, it moves in over British Columbia and Alberta, and it is going to shield essentially the weather, hold sunshine, which can be good. We, of course, enjoy the sun, but when temperatures get into the 30s for days and days on end, the drought is already concerning, the dry conditions, the wildfires. This is not the weather setup that you want to see. So this really is some concerning weather over the next few days, and it really locks in place almost until next weekend. So the term heat dome, above seasonal, dangerous heat, these are terms we're going to be using a lot here on the Weather Network. As you can see, the temperatures, it might not look too dangerous in a place like Victoria, 21 degrees on Tuesday, but 27 in Vancouver, feeling like 32 in North Vancouver. That is abnormally warm for this time of year, and you can see Abbotsford on Sunday getting up to 34 degrees. Now, I want to show you some of the images out of Alberta. You can see the wildfire smoke coming up at 23 past the hour. We're going to talk about the extended evacuation and the residents that are just so frustrated in this region, and the weather, of course, not helping. Temperatures in northern Alberta, look at Fort McMurray today, getting up to 30 degrees. The dry conditions will continue across the prairies. It's not as bad within Manitoba, but Saskatchewan is going to be a region that will watch for these climbing temperatures, very dry conditions, and the potential for fire. As we look up towards Fort McMurray getting into Sunday, 32 degrees as we climb into the afternoon. So again, when we talk about this heat, it's really the extended heat. It's not just one day of this that creates the concern. It's multiple days. And Environment Canada has issued that heat warning within northern Alberta, and we also do have air quality statements in place. So even in Edmonton, the fires are not a concern in the city of Edmonton, but that smoke that drifts in is affecting the air quality. Now you can see temperature-wise getting into Tuesday, look at Saskatoon up to 29 degrees, Prince Albert 30 on Monday. So again, these numbers are not going anywhere. This is a prolonged event, and this really is a reminder to check in on your loved ones, check into people who don't have air conditioning, keep hydrated, keep pets indoors as well, because it really is a shock when the temperatures just go from winter and then spike this high. And of course, the wildfire situation will continue as we go through this weekend. Now, as we take you to the other side of the country, we go into Ottawa. The temperature story really is different. 20 degrees in Ottawa today, comfortable, beautiful for the Tulip Festival. Toronto, also some amazing conditions, dry weather, and we're also seeing temperatures cool down as we go into tomorrow, into Sunday. 16 degrees in a place like Niagara Falls. Toronto, 18 for the daytime high, and Atlantic Canada, much more comfortable conditions as well with some showers. May pretty average time to start seeing this kind of severe weather. So let's hone in on some of those cities that got the first warnings of 2023.
Well, no doubt, if you had to pick anywhere that the radar was indicating had some rotation, and we are nearing our severe weather season. So yeah, like you mentioned, not super uncommon.
Now, Saskatchewan is the top province in Canada. We record the most tornadoes in Saskatchewan. But let's talk about tornado warnings in May. Was this early? Is this normal? Is this officially the start of severe weather season?
Well, the official start of the tornado season in Canada is actually in April, so it's not uncommon to see tornado warnings this early in the season. We've in fact recorded actual tornadoes, so
no confirmed tornadoes, and I think that's where some of the confusion comes from.
Yeah, funnel clouds usually don't leave any damage, whereas tornadoes actually make that ground contact and do produce damage, but it's showing us the early signs that we're starting to gear up into our severe weather season.
All right, now let's take a look at this. Tornadoes right across the country, on average driver when it comes to severe weather, and we are seeing a heat dome forming over Alberta and over BC. But the tornado threat, the severe weather threat isn't there. What are we lacking?
Well, we are getting that heat and we're building.
If you can stay with us throughout the hour, we're going to talk about some of the most beautiful blooms that you can check out this weekend. And I may have some pictures and videos coming up within the next 3 minutes too. As we take a look at the radar this morning, we've got some rain within southern Saskatchewan and southern Manitoba. This is good news. This is a region that is extremely dry. It needs rainfall. It needs more rain than what's in the forecast. And we also need that rain to move into Alberta, but we can't get everything right now, but we're hoping this forecast changes because the situation is not looking good across the prairies, and we're going to cover that weather story throughout the hour. I do want to focus in on Atlantic Canada right now, though, because you do have the potential for some thunderstorms in the forecast this afternoon. Bit of a trough moving through. You're going to see some spotty showers on and off. Temperatures a lot cooler in the east than what we are seeing out west, and we even have snow up in Labrador. This here is that thunderstorm risk as we go in through the afternoon. It sort of focuses in here on top of Nova Scotia. Not a huge thunderstorm risk, I have to say, but the potential is slowly there right within the center of the province. And you can see temperature-wise, we're not spiking into the 30s like we're seeing out west. Comfortable conditions, a little unsettled still for Sunday, especially in St. John's, and then I'll call it very unsettled up into Labrador. Some regions could be seeing upwards of 15, even 20 centimeters of snow going into the mid of May, and we are still tracking snow. Where we're not tracking snow, well, that's in the nation's capital. We actually have a beautiful day today. Comfortable, a little bit above seasonal, 20 degrees. It's really the most perfect conditions for this, the Tulip Festival that is kicking off in Ottawa this weekend. And if you want to see some other gorgeous blooms, another good spot to head to, the Tulip Collection is really outstanding. I've never been to Niagara Falls in the spring. That is a really good time to go because they put a lot of effort into some of those gardens. So if your travel plans take you there this week, well, we've got some really comfortable conditions. Sunday, we cool down slightly within southern Ontario. Technically still seasonal, though. You can see it in Toronto as well, down to 18 degrees, back up to 22. But look at Wednesday here. Wednesday, we're going to struggle to even get into the double digits, and that's because we do have a bit of a front coming through. Not much rain in the forecast, as you can see, within the 7-day. But see this front up here? It's coming from the north as it dips down across Quebec. It will bring some showers into places like Montreal and Quebec City, but it will influence the forecast across southern Ontario. So there's really not a whole lot going on when it comes to weather within Ontario and Quebec, but we're going to watch for some temperature changes. So you can see it here in Montreal. Tuesday, 14 degrees, you got some of those showers, and then Wednesday, you're down to 11 degrees. Now, coming up throughout the show, we are going to be talking about your temperatures across the prairies, the dry conditions, the wildfires that continue to burn, and you're going to hear us using the term heat dome. We're going to talk about that a little more throughout the hour. Hope you can stay with us. Fires. Now, of course, the weather is not helping this situation, and this is a story that we're continuing to follow over this week here at the Weather Network. This area of high pressure coming in over Alberta and British Columbia, it will lock the heat in place. It will lock sunny skies, dry conditions in place, and for many, this is weather that you want to see in the spring, but when a wildfire and the drought situation continues in this region, this is really the worst forecast to have. Temperatures will continue to climb into the 30s. We take a look at the icons right across the country, and we really have the tale of two seasons. This extreme, deadly summer heat across the west, and then this trough that is actually bringing snow into Labrador. Fortunately, the forecast is not helping this situation. The heat dome is something that will continue to follow here at the Weather Network, but I just want to contrast this heat dome with snow that is falling in Labrador. It is a horrible forecast across the west when you have conditions that are this hot, this dry, fires that continue to burn. This is the last thing that you want to see. A massive ridge in the jet stream holding all of this heat across the west. And then where we live here within the lower Great Lakes, we have a big trough, a dip in the jet stream. And eventually we're actually going to see some cooler weather come our way. And I know it's easy to complain about cooler weather in May, but just remember, on the other side of this, temperatures into the 30s with wildfires burning across the province, drought within BC and especially Alberta, even Saskatchewan as well. It's not where you want to be. I will certainly take our weather any day. And our weather really is nothing to complain about. We got a gorgeous forecast today. This afternoon, just beautiful. Picture perfect, comfortable to be outside. A little bit cooler than what we saw yesterday. Yesterday actually was a little bit hot. We just got hot so quick, and sometimes it's hard to transition. Get the sunscreen out, get hydrated. Where's the shorts, right? You need everything in place. 19 degrees as we go into this evening. Bit of a northerly wind, and that northerly wind is going to cool us a little more as we go into tomorrow. And remember, tomorrow is Mother's Day. So as you're waking up, you're making mom breakfast in bed Sunday morning. 10 degrees in Toronto. Sun is shining through the window. We'll have a beautiful sunrise tomorrow, 7 in Orangeville. And hey, here's an idea. Maybe you want to take mom on a little day trip. You can head down to Niagara Falls because it is going to be sparkling tomorrow, and that you can enjoy maybe lunch with mom and hear the roar of the falls. 24 degrees tomorrow afternoon. It is going to be beautiful. And again, that northerly wind, it is going to have an influence on our forecast. And I want to show you it here. The northerly wind cools us down a bit, but still comfortable. We're not talking single digits here, but watch what happens throughout this week. That high pressure slowly disappears, and see this front. As this front comes down in towards Quebec, it's going to bring some showers Montreal and towards Quebec City. We're going to stay dry within the GTA, but temperatures are going to fall a little bit. So look at us here. Wednesday in Barrie, only 11 degrees, and remember, Friday, Saturday, that's heading into the long weekend. So if you're thinking about going to the cottage, you do have the warm weather, but it's not going to be quite swimming weather warm. The May long weekend, it can be a tricky one. So cottage country, as we get into next weekend, we're not seeing a huge spike into 28 degrees, so you can jump into the lake. As we look ahead at Toronto, same kind of story. Fairly dry this week, a little bit cooler as we go into Wednesday, and a very similar story into Hamilton as well. 13 degrees being that daytime high. Oakville, you got the same story. And remember, if you're right down by the water, it tends to feel a little bit cooler. So make sure you plan something for mom tomorrow outdoors because you got lots of sunshine. Now, our top story here at the Weather Network, it continues to be the fires that burn in Alberta. 77 fires.
Many people with seasonal allergies may not realize this, but what they're eating just may be aggravating their symptoms.
That's right. You can possibly tweak your diet to relieve allergy symptoms. Now, how, you ask? Well, it's all about going low in histamine. Now, foods high in histamine might be some of your favorites, like bacon or deli meat. Fresh stuff like strawberries, tomatoes, cheese, avocado, spinach, yogurt, and, sorry to tell you, but wine. Now, this is an interesting one. Citrus fruits are not naturally high in histamine, but studies have shown that eating them may trigger our body to release histamine. So that means oranges, lemons, limes, they might be ones to avoid.
This diet change may work for allergy sufferers because we often can't control what's floating around in the environment, but...
And a big thanks to nutritionist Diane Murphy for sharing some of that information with us. If birch is your allergy, you may be having a hard time this weekend. Now look at these guys. I hope they're not having a hard time celebrating their mama. She looks like she has certainly got her hands full. A reminder, Mother's Day is tomorrow, and if you have some time, make sure you check out the Weather Network tomorrow. We want to feature some pictures and some videos of your mom, so of course send them to me on Twitter at Rachel Schoutsen. And we've also put together a special segment with lots of different facts. Wildest pregnancies in the wild. Do you know who's pregnant for 23 months? Or what animal falls 6 feet in the air once they're born? We got that coming your way tomorrow, so make sure you check out the Weather Network. But today, let's check this out. a gorgeous day. Such a beautiful day today. 24 degrees in the city of Toronto, Mississauga, Oakville, Burlington. Sun is shining, and this is a good time to remind you the UV is becoming very strong. What is the UV? Well, it's a measure of the strength of the sun. So we see these numbers here. The UV as a 7 in Barrie in Toronto, an 8 in London, a 5 in Windsor, less in Windsor because we do have a bit more cloud cover through southwestern Ontario. So what do all these numbers mean? Well, once you get to about a 6 or 7, protection required, sunglasses, hat, sunscreen. Once you get to an 8 to 10, extra precaution required. So drinking extra water, finding shade, staying out of the sun during those peak hours between 11 and 4. So some things to consider, because I don't want you to get a sunburn today. Today is the type of day where that sunburn might just sneak up on you. I know we got a couple people in the office that said, yeah, my shoulders are certainly red from yesterday. 19 degrees as we go into the evening. The evenings just feel so long. The mornings are coming early. This is just such a good time of year. And of course, we're anticipating the long weekend too. As we show you tomorrow morning, Mother's Day, breakfast in bed for mom, the sun shining through the window. It's going to feel nice. 9 degrees in Newmarket. Beautiful start to the day. Into the afternoon, we're up to 18. We're definitely a little cooler tomorrow than what we're going to see today, and that's because we have this front that's sagging down right across Ontario and Quebec. It will bring some showers, essentially Ottawa and east midweek. We'll be staying dry, but we will feel the influence of some cooler air. Check it out. Wednesday in Barrie, only 11 degrees.